My dog's barking. You might not be able to hear her, but just wait a second. I think it's the postman. Highlights. I sing highlights. If I'm not bringing anything new into... Oh my goodness. Oh, bright. Hi everyone, it's Vicky and welcome to my first YouTube video. Well, my first proper YouTube video. I did put out a introductory video. So if you haven't seen that one already and you're wondering what my channel's going to be about, the types of videos that I'm going to be putting out there, have a look at that one and that can give you a little bit of an idea. So I explained in that video that I've recently gotten into project planning and really making the use of my makeup collection. And I thought a really good way to start my channel would be to put out a makeup inventory video. Now I first did a makeup inventory about 3 or 4 months ago. And if you're not sure what a makeup inventory is, it's basically where you get out all of your makeup and you write down every single thing that you own and you try and put it into categories. So you write all your primers, all your foundations, lipsticks, everything. And it's a really good way to see how much makeup you own and how much makeup you own in all the different sections as well. So it might be that you have loads of foundations but hardly any eyeliners. And makeup inventories are a really good way to sort of shape your spending habits. So if you get tempted by a new foundation that's been released, you can look at your inventory and go, well, I've actually got 20 foundations already. Do I really need another one? So I wasn't too shocked with my makeup inventory the first time I did it. I know that I've got a lot of makeup, but a lot of makeup for me. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to talk you through my makeup inventory, how much I've got in each categories and how I want each category to look at the end of the year. But I do just want to say before I get started that there might be some people watching who have a way bigger makeup collection than I've got or an even smaller one. So when I say that I've got too much of this or too much of that, that's personal. That's too much for me. So what I find too much or too little, you might disagree with. You might be absolutely fine in having 20 foundations. I, however, am not, so it's all individual. So I've bought makeup for years and I've got a lot of it and I feel like I've got too much of it. There's makeup in my collection that I don't really love and that I don't really use that often, and my goal is to really have a curated makeup collection full of products that I love, full of products that I know are just going to work, and I don't have that at the moment. So what I've decided to do, and any friends or family that are watching, please remember this throughout the year during moments when I get tempted to buy anything. I have put myself on a no-buy for 2021 when it comes to makeup. So what I have decided to do is to not buy myself any new makeup. If, however, I completely run out of all the mascaras that I own, I will allow myself to buy a new mascara. So I'm not buying anything new, but if I run out of a category, I will allow myself to purchase something in that category. So basically, I just want to use up the makeup that I have already, or even use up the makeup that I'm a bit unsure about whether I actually like or not, so I can really have a collection that I love and is just full of products that are perfect for me. So onto the makeup inventory. So I'm going to start with primers. Now I have 3 primers already, and by the end of the year I still want to have 3. However, I don't think I want to have the 3 that I've got already because I'm not that keen. Now I'm a little bit on the fence with primers. I don't really know if they do a lot. I have heard that if you moisturise your face well enough, if you give it enough moisture, then that basically acts as a primer. So I feel like it's a little bit of a, is it that important kind of step in my routine? And I don't always use it, and I can't really tell much of a difference on the days when I use it and days when I don't. It might just be that I haven't found my perfect primer at the moment. So once I've used up the 3 primers that I have already, I might end up buying 1, 2, 3 just to give myself a range of different primers, such as a brightening one, a mattifying one, hydrating one. And if I do that, I might end up finding my Holy Grail primer. But I'm on 3, want to be on 3 by the end of the year, or ideally even less than that. Next category is foundation, and this is a category that I have too much of. In my opinion, I have too many foundations for me. I've only got one face. There's only so much foundation that you can apply at any one time. It's not like lipstick or lip gloss where you can keep reapplying it throughout the day. 1 to 2 pumps, and that's kind of it. So I have 14 foundations, and by the end of the year I want to get down to single figures. I want to get down to 9. although this might sound a bit optimistic, I feel like I can do this. I've got hardly any Fenty left. I've got half of Estee Lauder Double Wear, half of a Bare Minerals. I've got 2 travel size foundations as well. So I really think that I can get down to single figures for foundation. Ideally, I'd like to get down to about 5, because that allows me to have a pressed powder foundation, a loose mineral one, a sheer one, full coverage, and one sort of like in the middle. But 9 is the target for now. Concealers is another category where I have too many. I have 9, and if you've ever tried to pan a concealer or use a concealer up, it takes ages. There's so much product in a concealer, and I went a little bit concealer happy in the summer. I ended up buying, I think, all 9 of them. I just had a thing for concealers and foundations in the summer, which was weird because it was lockdown, and it was when that shift towards more of a natural, lighter coverage base was happening. But I seem to go the opposite way and bought more foundations and concealers. So I have 9 and I want to get down to 8, and I feel like that's doable. I don't feel like I could get through more than that. 2 concealers this year, and they're all pretty new as well. 1 I think is fine. So colour correctors, I have 1, and by the end of the year I want to have 1. The only place I use a colour corrector is on my dark circles, so I just really need 1. I don't personally feel the need to have more than 1, but the one I've got already is quite a dark peach, and ideally I'd want something a little bit more salmon coloured. So I'm going to try and use this one up and then get a colour corrector that's a little bit better suited to my skin. Okay, powders, I have 2, and by the end of the year I still want to have 2. I have 1 loose, and I've got 1 pressed as well. And again, personally, I don't really see the need for myself to have more than 2. 1 loose and 1 pressed seem to do the job, so I'm happy to have 2. And I'm happy to have the 2 that I've got already as well. I've got the Laura Mercier loose translucent powder, and I've got the Fenty Invisiblot, and they're really good, so I'm happy to have those. Bronzers, I have 1. Now with bronzers, I've counted the compact bronzers on their own, and I only have 1 of those. It is massive though, however, it's about 17 grams of product I think, and I've been using it pretty much most days. I wear makeup most days, and I use bronzer most days when I wear the makeup, and it's just not going down. Some of the writing has worn down a little bit, but I feel like it's going to take me absolutely ages to use up this bronzer, so I've said 1 for the end of the year as well. However, I don't feel like this bronzer is the best shade for me. It's a little bit orange, so it might come to the point where I have used it so much that I think, no, I actually need a better colour for me. Okay, contour, I have 1 single contour product, and I want 1 at the end of the year as well. For a lot of these categories, I feel like I don't need multiple products, especially base products. If I can find the perfect bronzer, then I don't feel the need to have more than 1, or the perfect contour, or the perfect highlighter. My skin complexion doesn't change throughout the year, so it's not like I get really tanned in summer. I'm this colour all year round. Okay, blush, I have 3 single blushes, and by the end of the year I want to have 2. I have 2 powder blushes and 1 cream, and the cream one is the one that I want to use up by the end of this year. It's only about 6 months old at the moment, but because it's cream, it's not going to last as long as powder. And I'm not entirely keen on the colour as well. I think I need to play around with it a little bit more and see if I really like it. So 3 now and 2 at the end of the year, and I feel like that's doable as well. Highlights, I have 3, and by the end of the year I want to have 1. I feel like we've moved away from the blinding highlight to more of a softer one, and I find that I don't really use as much highlight anymore, so I don't feel the need to have 3, especially as I've got highlights in face palettes as well, so I really don't need all these highlights because I think they're all pretty much similar shades. So 3 down to 2, and again, I think that's doable. Face palettes, now with face palettes, these are either blush or bronzers, or bronzers, blush and highlight, and I've got 3 of them, and I want to still have 3 by the end of the year. I think I like all of the ones that I've got, so I'm happy to have them all in my collection by the end of the year as well. Face and eye palettes, I've got 8 of these, and by the end of the year I want to have 6, and that's because I've got a couple of Estee Lauder ones that have been in my collection for 2 to 3 years now I think, and I don't reach for them that often, and I just feel like the quality isn't really there, which is surprising because it's Estee Lauder, but I think it's because they were in those Christmas hampers that they release, obviously at Christmas. But I've heard that the quality of those products aren't really that good. So I think I need to reach for those a bit more, try and use them up, see if I really do like them, and maybe declutter a couple by the end of the year. Eyeshadow primers, I've got 3, and I feel like I don't really need 3. I think I just need 1. And I really like the Urban Decay eyeshadow primer potion. That is brilliant. That really does work for me. And again, like with bronzers and contours, if I find the one that really does work for me, why do I need more? So I've got 3, and I want to have 1 by the end of the year, and probably it will be that primer potion. Eyeshadow singles, I've got 24, and I would like to have 20 by the end of the year. I've got some in my collection that have been there for a while, and they're quite dupeable shades. They're shades like a shimmery ivory colour, a matte ivory, a matte neutral brown. So those are shades that you tend to find in palettes anyway, and they have been in my collection for a while. So I want to use up 4 this year. Should be doable, I think. Fingers crossed. Okay, eyeshadow palettes, I've got 8, and I want to get down to 7 by the end of the year. And like my face and eye palettes, I've got a couple of Estee Lauder ones in here. And I did declutter an Estee Lauder eyeshadow palette end of last year. I couldn't get it to work for me. The colours looked beautiful, but you couldn't pick up much product on your brush, so you had to use your finger. And I found that I was like wiping my finger on the eyeshadow palette a lot to pick up any product. So the colour payoff just wasn't there. And then because I used my finger, it wasn't the most precise of eyeshadow looks. Beautiful colours though, and they did stay put. But just a really tricky, really annoying formula to work with. And I've got another one of those palettes, again, which I don't really reach for. So by the end of the year, I might end up decluttering that one as well. Eyeshadow sticks, I've got 3, and eyeshadow sticks I don't really reach for. When I first bought these, I used to love them, and they're by Mally. And I got these on QVC. I think that's the only place you can get them in the UK. And the colours are, again, the colours are beautiful, but I just don't reach for them. I like to use shadows, I like to use shadows and palettes, so I don't tend to reach for singles, especially single eyeshadow sticks. So, and I've had these in my collection a long time. I think the shelf life is something like 6 months, and I think I've had them about 3 years. So I really should use them up this year. I don't want them to be in my collection by the end of the year, and I don't want to have any by the end of the year as well, because like I say, I don't really reach for them. Eyeliner pencils, I have 7, and I want to have 3 by the end of 2021. I don't really use eyeshadow pencils. I might use one for tight lining or a nude one for my waterline, but I don't have much visible eyelid space, especially with this eye. So when I use an eyeliner pencil, it takes up a lot of the space on my eye, and then sometimes it does imprint up here. So I don't tend to use them, and I don't need 7. I need maybe a brown, a nude for my waterline, and then I do quite like a nice bright colour, so I think 3 is fine. Liquid eyeliners, I've got 1, and by the end of the year I still want to have 1. I've got the KVD tattoo eyeliner, and that is brilliant, and I'm more likely to reach for a liquid eyeliner than I am an eyeliner pencil. And again, like bronzers and contours, I don't feel like I need more than 1 of these, so perfectly happy for this category to stay the same. Mascaras, I've got 3, and by the end of the year I still want to have 3. I'm very strict when it comes to mascaras. I keep them open for 3 to 6 months depending on what the packaging says, and I only ever like to have one open at a time. Because I'm strict on how long I keep the mascara for, I don't want to have multiple mascaras open because I then feel like I'm wasting a lot of them, if that makes sense. So I use one at a time, and I like to have 1 or 2 backups just so I've got options for what I want to open next. So the mascaras can stay the same. Start with 3, want to end with 3, that's fine. Okay, eyebrow products, I've got 7, and by the end of the year I want to have 4. I did have 2 eyebrow products, but I then bought a Benefit gift set of their 5 full size products at Christmas in the Boxing Day sales, just because I never tried Benefit eyebrow products before, and they're like the holy grail of eyebrow products. So many YouTubers and so many makeup artists rave about them, so I wanted to try them. Now I naturally have quite good eyebrows. I don't really need to do a lot of filling in, just a little bit maybe here. So I don't really use a lot of product whenever I do use eyebrow products. So 7 down to 4 might be achievable, perhaps. We'll see. I think it should be. Okay, false lashes. I've got one, and I'm happy to have one at the end of the year. I rarely wear false eyelashes. I just can't be bothered with them. Again, like my eyebrows, my eyelashes are quite good naturally. I've got a lot of them. They're quite black. They don't have much of a curl, so I do curl them. So I don't often feel like I should wear false eyelashes. And because I find them so tricky to put in as well, I just can't be bothered. It's so fiddly. I did buy a pair of false eyelashes end of last year, and it was only to get the delivery over the threshold for free delivery. And I wore them on Christmas Day. I cut them in half and put them on the outer corner, and it looked quite nice. But I don't know when I'm next going to do that. Maybe next Christmas. So this category definitely doesn't need to be higher than this. Okay, lip balms. I've got 5, and by the end of the year I want to have 4. I always wear lip products. When I go to bed, I wear lip balm. During the day, I wear lipstick. So I feel like I could maybe use one of them up and get down to a more reasonable 4. Lip liners, I've got 9, and by the end of the year I want to have 4. I've got lip liners in my collection that I've had for years. I've got a collection 2000 one, and if you know collection, they're now called collection. They're not called collection 2000, so I think I need to use that one up. And there's a couple of others in my collection that I should probably use up as well. So 9 down to 4, I think should be doable. There's a couple that are quite small, but I've recently gotten into wearing lip liner. I never used to really wear it. I used to just put lipstick on, but I do like the look of lip liner with lipstick now. It does neaten it up a little bit. So hopefully I can get this number down. Lipsticks, I have 19, and by the end of the year I want to have 13. Now that does sound like quite a lot to use up 6 in a year. So 1 every 2 months, that is only using that one lipstick, and I like to use lots of different lipsticks. I like to play around with my lip colour, but there are some lipsticks in my collection that are very similar. I've got a lot of like pinky, rosy mauve colours, and I do have lipsticks in my collection that I've had for a while, so I want to use those ones up. So 19 down to 13. I don't think I'm going to do it just by using them up. It might be that I declutter 1 or 2, but it's a fairly achievable target, I think. Lip gloss, I've got 2, and by the end of the year I want to just have 1. I'm not a massive lip gloss fan. I'm not a fan of the like tacky, gloopy consistency on my lips. I much prefer a matte finish. Not drying though. And I've got an Estee Lauder lip gloss that I've had in my collection for 2 to 3 years, so that one really should go. And I've got a Fenty lip gloss as well, which I actually really like, so I'm happy for that one to stay in my collection. And then once I've used up that one, I do want to try a new shade of that as well. And finally, setting sprays. I've got 1, and by the end of the year I just want to have 1. Again, I don't feel the need to have multiple setting sprays. I feel like 1 setting spray is enough. All I need it to do is set my makeup. Again, personally, I don't see the need to have more than 1. So that was my makeup inventory, and I'm going to do regular checkups on this. I'm going to do quarterly check-ins, so I've got another 3 check-ins for the rest of the year. And seeing as I'm on a no-buy for this year, I'm really hoping that the numbers in most of the categories can go down. If I'm not bringing anything new into my collection, then I don't see why these figures shouldn't be going down. I mean, some products do take longer than others to use up, but as these are the only products I have to use, they should be going down. So I hope you found that video interesting. I really like watching makeup inventory videos. I like to see the collections that people have got, how much makeup they've got, how much makeup in each individual category they've got, and how it compares to mine. So if you like this video, then please give it a thumbs up, and I will talk to you in my next video.